Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. About a week ago, I was contacted by one of my YouTubers, Mario, and Mario wanted to know if I possibly could do a video on this reel right here. And this is an Ambassador 5500C, and he wanted to know if I could do anything with it. And it's very stiff. It's got a bent arm. It's got a bent star drag. It's in really rough shape. However, it does seem to be in fairly usable conditions. It's still functional. Everything on it is doing pretty much what it's supposed to do. Just doesn't do it as well as it should. And I told him sure. And I asked him if he lived anywhere near me, because it would be so much nicer just to have him drop it off. And he said, yeah, he lived in Devine, which is about an hour and a half away from me. And I told him, I said, oh, sure, well, tell you what, while you're coming, if you've got any other reels, why don't you go ahead and bring them on and we'll see what we can do. And so Mario did. He brought me this. He also brought me the three other reels. I can't remember what they are, what they're called right now. They're red. I'll tell you what, I'll look. There they are. He brought me three of these. They are Zebco reels, Zebco rhinos, red rhinos. And he brought me three of these. I think I was able to make two of them functional again. The other ones were too far gone to make work again. He brought me some Zebco 33s. He brought me some 733s. Most of these he has well worn. These are reels that don't have a drag in them, and the gears in them are pretty heavily worn. But I think I did get one or two of those up and functional again. He brought me this 202, which I believe that's going to be okay again. It's a little bit grindy, but aside from that, I think it's going to be all right. He brought me this Mercury reel, which I haven't started on yet, but it is a smooth reel. It's a little draggy, but from old grease, but I think I'm going to be able to make this one fully operational again. He brought me this beautiful Millionaire 3RM Daiwa Millionaire, and this one, it doesn't stay clicked in when you click it all the time. Most of the time it does, though. And it's stiff. It's very stiff. But I think once they clean all the excess grease and such out of it, this one I'm definitely doing a video of, just not doing it today. And told him to get that one taken care of. And he gave, well, let's go back to this guy first. This Daiwa ProMaster PMF 1500. This reel, this is one of his favorite reels. He really likes this reel. I'm hoping that I can get it up and running as smooth as it should be. It is extremely dirty. It needs a lot of work, but I don't really think the gears sound too bad in it. So I think I'll be able to make this one do what it's supposed to do again. And it does have a cracked case here. I don't have a side cover for it, but if that's all that's wrong with it, is just that little piece of case cracked, I think I can make all the rest of it function and do what it's supposed to do. We just need to get rid of all the old greases and stuff out of it. We're going to do a video on that one as well. He gifted me this reel, this Pin 77, which is old Knuckle Buster reel. And it's a little loose, but we'll clean it up and get it up and running. But the other one that he gifted me was this one, and we're going to talk about this one in another video. I'm going to do a video on this reel. When he dropped this one off, it would barely turn, and when it did turn, it made a chunk, 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 chunk sound. And whenever you released the spool and you tried to rotate it, it would always snag on the handle, and it would pull the handle with it, and it would just make a kind of a thump, 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 thump sound. And anytime you would spin the handle, you could hear the handle hitting. And what it was doing, it was hitting on the spool, even though the spool was supposed to be in free spool. And it was very bound up, but I'm going to, and you could barely turn it because there was so much gunk inside the gears. And I will tell you everything about this reel because I'm going to do a video on it. But I now have it up, running, functional, doing what it's supposed to do again. But I didn't do a full cleaning on it. I was just trying to play with it and see if I could figure out what was wrong with it and what made it not work. And I've got it all figured out now. And I'm going to walk you guys through that while I service this one. And then we come to today's project. Mario calls this his baby. And this is a reel that his wife bought for him many years ago, probably about 20, 25, 30 years ago. And he's used it as his primary go-to reel for a long, long time. And one of the things that's wrong with it is there's a little play here. And he tells me that he's been into it before. And he says the problem with it is that this clip right here for the crosswind block is heavily worn. So we're going to replace that and put a new one in there and see if that'll fix it. But this is going to be our service project for today. And I've pulled up the schematic for it. So this gives you an idea how old this reel is. For some reason in my head, I don't think 1997 was a long time ago. But in reality, that's what, 25 years ago? So this is a 25-year-old reel. But we're going to clean it up today, scrub it up, and I've looked it over. I think it's going to be fairly simple. I don't think there's anything here that I'm not familiar with. Now, when he first dropped this off, it's rather interesting because it wouldn't wind all the way around. It would run part of the way and it would just stop. Well, the anti-revert, I don't know why, but that problem just went away. And but we're going to go through the whole thing, drags and all. And for a reel that's in rough shape, yeah, it makes a lot of noise, but overall, it's not a bad reel at all. And we're going to clean it up for him, put him a new piece in, and get this back out there. So Mario, this one's for you, brother. We're going to start off by taking off the spool and the handle. Now, I believe that this is a go-through handle that we unscrew on this side. I'm not positive of that. We'll find out in just a second. Matter of fact, I can look at this. Yeah, look at the schematic, Rick. You'll know. Okay, let's get that off. Pull the handle out. All right, next, we're going to remove these 4 screws out of the side plate. Okay, now we're going to remove the side case. All right, and we're going to rotate the rotor around in order to bring the crosswind block down to where we can get onto the screw. And then we'll lift this plate out, and yes, sir, I would say that's pretty well worn. We'll do a comparison in a little while. We'll clean them both up, and I'll show you the old one, and we'll show you the new one, and see where we are. All right, Neil, this is for you. We're going to zoom in a little bit now so we can see what we're doing. I should have done that before I took that crosswind block out. All right, now the main gear can't come out because the axle shaft here is still in. We've taken the screw out of the crosswind block, so we should be able to pull the axle shaft directly out. There we go. And aside from a lot of dirty grease and oil, it looks like it's okay. Now we should be able to take this gear out. Okay, we've removed the gear. And at this point, we should be able to take out the crosswind block. Now I'm kind of curious as to whether or not there's a lot of wear in the crosswind block itself. There is some play in that. So I think we might want to consider, Mario, looking into purchasing a new one if we can find one. All right, next we're going to take out this screw for the rotor that holds the rotor nut on. Slip the rotor off. Take a look at the, well, Well, that would explain what was happening there, although where does that go? I'm darned if I see where that other screw could go. But it certainly was up underneath there. All right, we're going to remove the yoke assembly. Okay, looks like we are going to have to take out this crosswind, or sorry, anti-reverse lever. Okay, that's got to fit up under there. Oh, I didn't check. Didn't see that coming. Let's put it back. Let's see if we can figure it out. All right. Before you take that apart, let's get in on this. Let's go ahead and focus lock on this. All right. I took this screw out right here for the anti-reverse. Once I take it out, I can lift this lever out. But if you look, see that spring? That spring hooks behind this block over here. Now we're going to need to know that when we go to put it back. Okay, so now when we lift it out, this spring, see this hooked edge here? Right there. Okay, that's got to hook in behind it when we put it in. Like so, there we go. Okay, and that tag is going to go behind this post right here. Okay, there's our anti-reverse. All right. That slips onto here, like so. These two pieces go together, like so. We'll get those scrubbed up. Now, this should pull out. There we go. And there's our bearing. And I have some new bearings, and maybe it's the same as that bearing. If it is, I'll change that bearing out. They look about the same. Okay, set the bearing over to the side. Okay. Now, we're going to take the drag stack apart. We're going to start off by removing this screw. And this knob should come off. Wow. Get a lot of dirt in there. Okay. Oh, I hate these double clip designs, but this one's not so bad. Okay, if you look down inside there, see this wire clip? That's double clip, one on each side, but it's all part of one that wraps around. This one's not too bad. It's the ones that come around on the inside that are a real pain. This one I should be able to just pop out on each side. Like so. Like that. Okay, here's the clip out. With that done, we should be able to just slide all of this out. There's the big spring. If it's in under, there's nothing inside there except the spring. I'll set it down here. And now it has to come out the drag washer stack. Let's try to keep it all in order by getting it all to come out at the same time. Like so. We'll keep all that in one stack and make sure that there isn't one more washer inside, and there's not. All right, let's take a look at this drag stack. Okay, it's got this eared washer first with the tabs facing out. Goes here. Then there's going to be a fiber washer. Next is going to be a keyed washer. Those two are really stuck together. Okay, off comes the keyed washer, then another fibered washer, then comes another eared washer, followed up by what I believe is the last fiber washer, or there's no washer there at all, but I'm pretty sure it's got a fiber washer stuck there. On off. Okay. There's the drag stack. Now, the only thing left here, it's left installed, is this clicker arm right here, and this spring right here. And these springs are such a pain that I'd rather not take that off, so I'm not going to. If I did have to take it off, it's just simply a matter of removing this screw right here, coming over here, and this whole lever assembly. See how it turns right there? Let's zoom you in. Okay, see that turning right there? Well, you would unscrew this screw and pull on this lever, and it's going to come out spring and all. And it's not that easy to get that spring back in there, so I'm not going to take it out. All you would do, though, is when you go to put it in, you try to get this end in while it's still on this side, but while it's still extended out. And then you just gently work it until you get it back in, slide it in to this handle, and then put the screw back in. All right. So there's a whole lot of cleaning to be done on this reel. So I'm going to go to cleaning it. And when I come back in a few minutes, everything will be clean and ready to go back together. All the parts are clean now, except for this rotor assembly, and I'm going to do that separately. So we're going to wait to the very end to do that. But let's go ahead and see about getting the rest of this put back together now. Okay. We're going to start off by putting the drag in. But let me show you something first. In this side case over here, there was this bushing right here. Okay. If you wanted to kind of what they call hot rod this reel, you could take this bushing out. And if you look, you can get you another bearing and install a bearing in there. Okay. So that's just something to point out. I don't have another bearing to put in there. As a matter of fact, I don't have new bearings for this. And it really could use some because these are a little bit on the noisy side. But we're going to go ahead. But I wanted to show you that. If, however, you are putting the bushing back in, see these two little notches right there? If you look down inside the case right here, let's go ahead and zoom in now. All right, if you look inside the case, see these two little notches right here? One on each side? Well, that's what these two points are supposed to sit in. So I'll line those up, and that's not always that easy to do because you've got to get them exactly in those holes for it to line up. He wants to go too far each way. There we go. There. And it'll fit flush once you have it lined up properly. All right, so the bushing is in. Okay, everything's nice and clean. We're going to start off by reassembling the drag on this. So we start off with this assembly right here. And the drag portion is going to go to the front. Okay, there is a drag. And it has a small fabric washer on the front of it. I've gone ahead and greased that. And we're going to leave it on there because it's getting old and I don't want to try to tear it up. So we're going to slide this onto the axle shaft now, just as a placeholder for this. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put a little bit of grease on the front of this. And then we're going to slide on this fabric washer. And again, this is one of those washers that's got a lot of wear on it. So we're going to be gentle with it. And we're going to give it a liberal supply of grease to help try to allow it the opportunity to slide as needed and not tear up. Next, it's going to go this eared washer right here. And it's called the eared washer because it's got these two little ears on it. All right, next is going to go this next fabric washer. Slide it on there and give it a little bit of grease. And actually, let's go ahead and flip it over because the other side should be greased as well. There we go. Okay. Now that's both sides of that one greased. And now we're going to slide on the keyed washer, which has got this rectangle in the middle of it. We'll slide that on. Like so. And then our last fabric washer is going to go on. I'm going to manually grease that with my fingers. And then slide it on. It's been greased on both sides now. And now goes the last eared washer. Now, and again, those ears are going to go to the rear. Now, take a look at those and align them with the ears on the other one. Once you've got that done, you can take this whole thing, slide it up off of here, and slide it back onto the axle the opposite way. Like that. And we're going to do, those ears are going to slide into these notches right here. Okay. Now here we go. We're going to slide that in. Just like that. And it should go all the way down until it meets. And then gently slide the axle out, leaving all of that assembly down inside. The next thing it's going to go in is going to be this plastic piece here. And on the back side of that, it's going to be this metal washer. And what that's going to do, that's going to allow this spring to slide inside that plastic piece. Now, since we want it to slide, we're going to put a little grease in there. Basically, that's just to keep the spring from chewing up the plastic. Slide the spring in. Now, that piece is going to slide back inside here like this, up against there. And that whole thing now is fit down inside there. And what's going to hold it in place, remember this spring? Well, we're going to take this spring and it's going to clip on. Hold on to it because it can take off and fly on you. I got it off the groove. There we go. Get it back in the groove. Come on. There we go. There we go. That's down the hole. And that is where all that fits. And the only thing left on that drag assembly then is to put this cap back on here. Screw it down, and once it gets so far, it's going to start meshing with the rest of that. Like so. And you put the screw back in. Now, turn it out. That's going to loosen the drag. Turn it in tight. That's going to tighten the drag. Like so. You're not going to know how well that works until we get everything put back together. But we'll loosen the drag for now. And let's back this out just a little bit. This is a special edit that I'm adding in because when I went back to edit the video and get everything set up, I found that one of the things that I had was with this knob, when I would turn it down, I never got the click. And I went back and I kept looking and looking and looking and looking. And what I finally discovered was when I put this wire clip back on, I had actually stretched it out a little bit. And so what I did is I came back and I squeezed it down a little bit and reinserted it like so. Now those little ends of the spring are hitting on this piece right here, so that as it rotates, it will now make the clicking sound. See? Okay, so that's one added piece to the equation. So that's got it put together up to that point. So we'll set this over to the side, and the next thing we're going to do is build up this pinion gear. Now the pinion gear, the only thing that was on that, the front, was this bearing. It's got a sealed side and an unsealed side. So what we're going to do is we're going to give a liberal dose of oil to the unsealed side, which we've done 3 or 4 times, and I've worked it in, and that bearing is still a little bit on the noisy side. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's still a little bit noisy, but I don't have a replacement for it. And we might eventually end up getting one for it, but for now we're going to put in what we have. Come back, slide the pinion gear and the bearing back into the case, slide it down like so. And now it's time. All right, the next thing that's going to go in are these 2 screws that hold the bearing in place. With those installed, the next thing you're going to want to put on is this bearing shield. That slides down. Okay, next is your anti-reverse assembly, and it's going to go, you got this piece here, it's got the spring around it, and with a little tag end right there. That's going to fit down over here, and that little tag is going to go inside that hole right there. This is another thing that I realized when and I've already, if you look at the edit, you'll see that I've already come in and told you I had put this on wrong. But if you look very carefully at the video, when this piece fell off, just prior to it falling off, let's see if we can get it focused. There we go. Just prior to it falling off, it was like this, with the wider section up against the anti-reverse pawl. And it goes like that, with the wider section up against it. Now, does that, am I absolutely 100% sure of that? No. All I know is that's the way it came out. If you look at the schematic, it doesn't really show you. It's just a real light drawing of that. So it doesn't show you which way that piece goes. I'm just basing this on the way that it came out. Now, does that mean that Mario or somebody else didn't come out and take it out to begin with? I have no way of knowing. I'm putting it back the way I took it out, and it seems to function just fine that way, so that's the way I'm going to put it. To me, it makes sense for it to be the other way, which is the way I originally installed it, but we're putting it back in this way. Okay, so find the spot, get it on, slide it in. There you go. It's going to go this spring assembly right here. Okay, and it's going to go on with the short end to the inside over that post like that. See there? And then swing it wide like that to bring the hook out here to the outside. Then this piece is going to slide down over the top of the post like that. Now you can bring this spring back over and hook the end of it around like that. And now that spring is on there and that's activated. The only thing left to do there is to put the screw back in. And give it a shot of oil. Now if you activate your anti-reverse, it should work. There we go. And this is one of those once every 360 anti-reverses, because what its purpose is to bring this point back to the trigger point. Okay, all that's in place. Next thing we talked about was comparing this piece to the new one that we just acquired. Okay, here's the original, and here is the new one. And overall, I don't really think the old one looks that bad. It's bent a little bit here and there, and it's misshapen a little bit, but I think it looks not so bad. It is flared out a little bit, but these could have just been bent back in. But we're going to use the new one. That's what we bought it for. We're going to put that on, and we're going to install the crosswind block on this post right here. Slip it on. Well, before we do that, let's go ahead and put some grease on the teeth around it. Next, we're going to put on the crosswind block. We'll set it down inside here like so. And now, that's as far as this can go until we rebuild this. But I really felt that we needed to get all of that done prior to getting this done so that we could clean all this up. Yeah, got all the spare parts out of the way. All right, let's open this up a little bit and let's take a look at what we have here. And this will be my first. Well, that don't look right. It doesn't look like that ought to be doing that, does it? I wonder if there's supposed to be a spring on that quick fire. Let me take a look. Well, it really doesn't appear that there is. So let's go ahead and start working to take this apart. We're going to start off by removing this screw off of the bail assembly. Okay, now there's part of the problem with this bail. If you look, once I disconnected it, see how far away it is from where it hooks up? That's because this bail is bent. So we're going to have to work to fix that. But we're not going to do it just yet. Let's go ahead for now and put this screw back in. There we go. That's just to hold all that together. Okay, and we will work on fixing that bail and bending it back into the proper shape. Okay, now we're going to take this off the other side. That should allow us to remove the bail altogether from this side. Okay, there's nothing over here except dirt that we have to clean up. So we'll set that over to the side, and that brings us back to the quick fire side. Okay. There's nothing inside here. Okay. So let's work on taking this side apart. Now I want to be careful removing this cover because it could very well be a spring under here that could fly out. And it shoots out, but there was no spring to shoot out. Okay, the spring is here. Okay, that's good. This guy here is spring loaded as well. And that's not a removable part, but it does need to be cleaned down inside there. We've got a screw here on the quick fire assembly or trigger holding it in place. So we'll take it loose next. There we go. And that brings us to here. And from this point, it seems to be just a normal bail that's set up that way with the spring set in here. Ease it out. And there's the spring assembly right there. Bring that out. All right. Now it's got everything apart there on the quick fire, ready to scrub it up. And when I come back in a minute, we'll put it back together. Parts all seem to be clean now, and we're ready to start reassembling. And what we're going to do is put just a small amount of grease in here where this piece rides against the case. And then I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the inside where the spring rides. And then we'll set that back into place with the spring and this arm down inside the spring so that it all can slide easily against each other. And then we're going to set this piece back in with this post right here down in that hole. Like that. And then we just got to get this piece to slide down into there. Like that. Once that's done, I believe at this point we can go ahead and put this piece on. I don't think it needs to be off in order to get this to slide together. Like that. Yeah, because that's still going to fit right down in there like it's supposed to. All right, so let's go ahead and put the screws back in this. I believe the short one goes in the bottom like this. All right, with that one in, now we should be able to set this. Now what's got to happen here is you've got to get that post into that hole, this shoulder into this notch over here, and that post into the center hole. So let's go about see what we can do about making that all happen. There we go. Oh, that went easy. Wow, that was real easy. Okay, let's pop it back off then. No, let's leave it together. Let's go ahead and oil it, because it still feels like it's dragging, even though I've cleaned it. Let's put a little oil on it. Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh, I let it pop out. All right, let's reset it. Hole. There you go. And let's put a screw back in. That's going to be the big screw. All right. Now, the quick fire button is going to go on. And it has to go so that it's on this side, I believe, of this, I think. Yeah. See how that's going to sit there? Like that? Sit that in place. That way when you pull this back, maybe I got it wrong. Nope, that's correct. Yeah, that is correct. Okay, so this is a shorter screw, but it's still one of the thick ones. And it's going to go right here. Like that. So when you pull that, it goes like that. We're going to give that a shot of oil here. And I believe it could stand a little bit right here as well. Even though Mario never uses the trigger fire, we still want to make it functional. Then the last of the small screws goes in here on this side. All right, now we have to put this back together. And this guy's going to sit into here like so. And notice still, we're way out of whack over here. So while we've got this loose, let's go ahead and see if we can adjust it. That's much better, but it's still high. Okay, we've got it to where it lines up this way, but it's not lining up on the twist way. So let's try to turn that a little bit, see what we can do with that. Okay, I believe if the screw were not on there, I think we'd have a good match right there. See how it's automatically lining up? Okay, so before we do anything with that, let's go ahead and clean up this right here and put a little oil on it, make sure it's going to turn well on the roller. Slide it back in, there we go, spin it a little bit, make sure the roller's free. Now, let's put this side on. Like so. Put the screw back in here. Now we're going to take this side off. Realign it. Put the screw back in. Turn around so I can get to it with my right hand. All right, let's oil this side. And I believe we're back in business. We're going to set the rotor onto the pinion shaft, like so. Now without new bearings, it's not a whole lot more I can do with that. Let's go ahead and tighten down the nut. Okay. And now there's a little wobble there, but that's to be expected since it doesn't have an axle shaft in it yet. All right, so set this up. We now have the crosswind block in place. We're ready to reinstall the main gear. We're going to grease that. The main gear down inside. Get it down far enough to where it latches. And now it's time to put this main axle shaft back in. And we've got to line it up with, oh, look at how easy that went in. Okay, and then we've got to rotate it around until it meshes in that back end. And now, this is the part I think where Neil wanted to see more the other day. As we put this in here, if you look, let's go ahead and pull this back out for a second. If you look on this axle shaft, there's a slot here, or cut, and there's a cut here. All right. This assembly that we just purchased is going to go right across there, just like that, and then screw in place. And that's going to lock that in place. So let's go ahead now, slide that axle shaft in, slide that through the crosswind block, and bring it through until both those notches, one is on each side of that crosswind block, like so. Then we're going to take this clip and we're going to slip it in to where it goes into those notches, and then it's going to drop down right there. And now it just needs its screw to be locking it in place. Okay, now, Mario, we talked the other day, you talked about the play that was in this spool. Now, if you look right now, it's not so much that clip is worn out. It's more that the crosswind block and the crosswind gear are wearing out. They're what's moving. Okay? And the center post on that. And there's not much you can do with that. You're going to have to leave that alone. You can order a new, if you can find it, you can get a new crosswind block and a new crosswind gear and put them in there. But I think the post that it sits on is also worn. So it's only going to do so much. So, but at least you get your new clip in there. Now, we're going to take this last gear. Now there's this shim pack goes right here on the main gear. There's 3 shims in there. And the schematics don't show how many, so in factory, that's what they put in, whatever they feel they need. All right, let's see, we want to be able to lock it so it can't back out the other way. That's going to be this position here. Okay. We're going to take our bearing now, put our bearing back into our side case. Give it one more drink of oil. And then we're going to slide that side case back on. Reinstall our screws. For some reason, when we got to the end of the video, when I got to the end of the edit, I was missing from here on out. So we're going to come back and re-accomplish this part just so we have a complete video. The handle goes in the side. This is Mario's reel, so the handle's coming in from the other side. There we go. And we're going to slip the screw in from this side, tighten it down. All right. Let's go ahead and clip on the spool. Let's see. All right, go ahead and put on the spool. Snap it down. There we go. And let's see how things run. Okay. Anti-reverse override works. Let's try the anti-reverse, and it works fine. Now we're going to use the trigger. There it goes. All right, let's try it one more time. Snap back. There it goes. All right, let's try the drag. We're going to tighten it down. Got a nice tight drag. Go ahead and loosen it up so it doesn't squeeze all the grease out. And there we have the Shimano Sienna 4000R spinning reel, quick fire 2. And this is for Mario. Mario, I'm down to just these last 3 reels done, and I'll have all your reels done. I've got this one to do, this one to do, and this one to do. When those 3 are done, I'll give you a call, and you can drive back up and pick them up, and all your reels will be up and functional. Well, the ones I was able to fix. There were several that I couldn't fix. All right, so for now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels. If you like the videos, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. And this is Rick Stivers signing out.